Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vanessa Zama. My name 18 019 057. In this course, excessive reading, I want to tell about the 6.1 using the L1 in the L2 classroom. The students speak by Eleanor Carson Hidenon Kasihara, Hiroshima City University. Okay, in the first, the goal of this study was to elucidate how students' preference regarding their first language use L1 or Japanese in the second language L2 or English class varied with proficiency. This study focused on evaluating using the first language L1 in the foreign language L2 classroom in a large monolingual country, Japan, and English L2. The study will attempt to expand beyond former studies by clarifying preference patterns for sport and introducing a useful term to describe these patterns as they emerge with the use of TOEIC scores to differentiate proficiency levels. Okay, for literature review in mismatch principle, institution, and teachers. In 1961, five basic tenets for L2 only used in the L2 classroom were promulgated during a conference in McCarry University, with the first tenet being that English is best taught monolingually. Philipson, 1992. These tenets have likely influenced change in the education policy in Jacob Hanna 2005, Huggs 2005, um, Frederick 2011. Monolingual instruction has been used to maximize student exposure to and use of the L2 and even to push students with incomprehensible input. Unfortunately, it encouraged Stephen. Stephen 2006 states that Japanese institutions prefer monolingual English instruction for pedagogical reasons, which are based on unsound assumptions as critiqued by Arabic 1993. If data explored in the present paper support their allegations, then monolingual instruction is unnecessary and potential detrimental in countries like Japan, where the L1 is dominant. Okay, for EFL context and Japan. For this, students using the L2 exclusively in the classroom could not only lower motivation and morale, but also invite feeling of rejection, alienation, and denigration of their own language and culture. By Arbeck 1993, Squares 19 and 99. L1 as told. The L1 can be used in the L2 classroom as a tool to reduce effective filter Mayer 2009 and 8, Norman 2008, Norman 2008 that students are often unresponsive, inattentive, and unwilling to speak in class. However, he observed that the opposite was true when he occasionally used the L1 in class with the same students. Often, students will not speak out of fear of embarrassment. Mentioned 2003, Mayor 2008. Squares 19 and 99, student and teacher. We feel that difference might be explained in part by the fact that the study took place in classes where the teacher, who might not share the student L1, preferred monolingual instruction, and by the difficulty of explanation problematic concept in what might have been the teacher on L2, especially where using incorrect words might compound the confusion. Moreover, Square studied unranked students in rudimentary English university class, response could have been different if the questionnaire measured varying levels of English competency. Norman 2008 students, they could ask a question in the L1. The teacher could explain common mistake L2 learners use in the L1. They had a good perception of and relationship with the teacher and they feel that the class processed smoothly. The disadvantages that they could become lazy and not try to learn the L2. They lose the chance to hear the L2 used by the English teacher and their listening ability would not improve much. Normal 2008. Okay, for problem. This study will address the following. Do definite pattern of students' preference for L1 support existing that varies with their proficiency or proficiency index. And next, do proficiency level influence the types of L1 support student prefer? And next, do proficiency levels influence the types of L1 support students do not prefer? For two methods, participants volunteer were 30, 5, uh, 30 and 5 university first and second years student in a public Japanese university enrolled in international studies and information and technology English language course for questionnaire and anonymous bilingual questionnaire was adapted from Square's questionnaires 2019 and 99. Two questions were added. Question 1. Where does your latest TOEIC score set in the following scale? What input to assess English proficiency to test Norman findings regarding differing English proficiency level? Norman 2008. Question 2. Should the instructor know the L1 was added following its use in Barden 2001 and Norman 2008? This question was added to check whether student response changed according to their L2 proficiency levels as measured by TOEIC score rather than the year of the class they were in or whether they had overseas English experience. Okay, for procedure, instructor distributes questionnaire to students in class. Participation was voluntary and required about 10 minutes. And we can see about this PPT about the question 1 and blah 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 blah. And you can see this. Okay, next for analysis. Analysis the questionnaire include 9 yes or no and multiple choice questions. Score were analyzed in percentages using Excel and agreement presentation for each question were tabulated. Okay, for results. Result in the figure is indicated the question number and answer option letters in the legends full size image are available in the online version of this article. Okay, for students desired use of L1, most students prefer that instructor know the L1 group 1. Express the highest desire, follow in decreasing increment to group 5 regarding whether or not the L1 should be used in the L2 classroom. Students generally feel that it should, but agreement declined with increasing L2 proficiency. Okay, for next instruction, instruction high L1 desires. Most students believe that the L1 should be to explain difficult concept with a great lining with increasing proficiency. For example, emotional support and classroom management low L1 design. When considering this course, um, as the responsibility for classroom experience moves away from instruction and more towards general classroom experience, students prefer less L1 support. Okay, for student views. As student abilities and confidence rose, their perceived need for Japanese support decreased. Students were asked what percentage of the time they thought Japanese should be used in the English language classroom. The majority of all groups preferred L1 to be used in the classroom less than 14% of the time, and this decreased with proficiency. Discussion. Proficiency effect to pattern emerge. A decreasing slope was observed with high agreement among student desire for L1 use in the classroom. See for figure 1 in the material when helping students construct complex cognitive connection between the L1 and L2. And you can see in the material too. And next, limitation and future research. For the standard 2-week test measures student listening and reading ability but not speaking and writing ability. Yet proficiency cannot be limited to listening and regarding and the new 2-week test still contains serious limitations. Chapman and Newfield 2008. Okay, for conclusion about uh, this subject, patterns have emerged which could help to determine the most effective use of L1 in the L2 classroom. There appears to be a need for L1 support at the beginner level. Factors that decline with increasing proficiency include emotional support, perceived desire for L1 support, and testing. Beginner students prefer knowing that they can rely on L1 support to actually needing to hear it. The quickest way to force students to make cognitive addition of the L2 is to connect the L2 to the L1. Okay, that's all about the subject, and thank you.